Welcome to Already Won. Our mission is to help you thrive.
And they are seeing the light of Jesus through sport.
All right. Hey.
Let's go, Mad Dog. Hello,
Season
welcome, guys.
5.
Season 5, we're going to thrive. To Already Won Sports Friends podcast. Mad Dog, have we got a good episode today? We are in Nigeria, a place which is so close to your heart. Literally, if you're watching on video, you'll be able to see how close it is to Mad Dog's heart.
Don't tell Icy.
Yeah. Who we got coming in then?
We've got Icy, Coach Dilzum Icy Yuabamson. He is our Sports Friends Nigeria team leader. Started off as a volunteer, coordinator, camp assistant to eventually become the team leader. It's a testament, a tale of serving to being the chief servant. I love it. You know, he's married to Vivien and he's got 2 children. Love it.
Fantastic.
Inspirational story today, people.
That's it. And he leads a team. You know, he's got staff, he's got volunteers. They've got over 11 denominational partnerships, over 1,600 coaches. They work with over 10,000 young people every week. And this last year had 3,500 new believers come to know the Lord Jesus. So
This
amazing
past week?
place. Last year.
I thought you said past week, but it's me. I'm hearing things right.
It was key ministry data from the last year. But we'll find out from Icy what's been going on the last week. Because if anyone's been following stuff online where he lives in Plateau State, there's been some crazy things going on, and that is what we're going to talk about today, Mad Dog. There's been a question that's been asked: is there a silent genocide going on in Nigeria? Now, it's a massive question, but tell us a little bit about that, because you do some advocacy stuff and things around that. So.
Well, I mean, even Nigeria, Sports Friends Nigeria being the second country of Sports Friends' existence, right? Starting in Ethiopia, then coming to Nigeria. The whole plan initially was almost to start in Nigeria. So with those intentions of there are troubles in Nigeria, and they need the hope, they need the truth of Christ. And what better way to do that is with the tool of sports ministry. So I think even the idea of starting in Nigeria was from that sort of background, but it continued to engulf Nigeria, not just in the past 20, 30 years, but for a long time. There's been an attack on Christians. Anyone who's a Christian has felt this attack on them, whether that's been their church being destroyed, personally being attacked, and some people are calling it a genocide, and they'll fit the legal parameters of that, and they'll talk about it. I know there's debate; people don't agree with that, but I think people have to agree that Christians are being targeted, Christians are being killed by Islamic militants. Not all Muslims. Again, we work with Muslims. We want to help and show and share with them the love and the hope of Christ. But there is something going on in Nigeria that the public needs to know about, not just in Nigeria, which they do, but around the world. We don't know this thing happens. And we say it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts because every day there's something. My phone blows up with an image, a video of someone being attacked, shot, killed, maimed, buried. So it's a daily something, and we're ignoring it as Christians in the West, and we need to be informed and learn more.
Yeah, for sure. And where can people go, just briefly, before we're going to hear from someone who literally is at the heart of all this stuff? So we're going to hear from him, which is going to be great. But where can people go just to hear a bit more about this, be informed around this?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to email me, kyle.abts@sim.org, that's great. I can give you some information, but check online. Just search Persecuted Christians in Nigeria. You'll come up with equippingthepersecuted.org. There's a news outlet called truthnigeria.com, and places like Open Doors and other places that are bringing up events and telling those stories or recounting those stories and just showing the atrocities that are happening in Nigeria.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to the place that officially the hardest place in the world right now to be a Christian, and we're going to talk about how to thrive. I mean, what a crazy topic, to how to thrive in this place, but we're going to do it because that's what better place to start, right? In a place like that, you've lived there, and we're going to get someone on the ground. Our team leader, Icy himself, is going to come in. So, should we have him on?
Let's bring him in, shall we?
All right, guys, please welcome to the podcast this week our team leader from Nigeria. It's Ice, baby. Icy, welcome to Already Won.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this, Icy. We're going back to Nigeria. This is the first sibling I think we've had on Already Won, right, Cal?
Yeah, this is true. We had the referee on. Now we've got the leader on. I love it.
Well, first question. Our podcast is called Already Won. So can you tell us what that phrase means to you, Already Won?
Okay. The phrase really, it means ultimate victory, which is salvation and redemption. That is already won to me, secure by Jesus Christ for me. That is already won for me.
Love it. What a start. Amazing. So good. It's for you and it's for anyone who receives it. So love it. So tell us that, Icy, what is your current role within Sports Friends?
So my current role, I am the team leader of Nigeria.
Tell us what that entails then. Who do you lead? Who's on your team?
I am a team leader to about 9 colleagues, then about 20 volunteers that whenever we have programs, they come over to help us do that together with them.
That's great. I think, Icy, you started as, I'm just going to say, a denominational coordinator, and then you kind of morphed into kind of a do-all. You were doing coaches, you were helping out with camps and different things, and now you became the team leader. That's a long road to take. And when did you actually start? Do you remember the year you started with sports?
So I came to Sport Friends as a coach. I was trained 2009, became a volunteer 2010. From there, I keep on working with Sport Friends as volunteer. With time, I became the camp assistant. I'm helping with the camping. I'm helping with some trainings. Before I know, I became the camp coordinator. From camp coordinator, woof, I became the team leader.
That's great. That's great. So I guess the other question I had, I know Ben is dying to know as well. You call yourself Icy, but your proper name is not Icy. Can you tell us your proper name and how you became Icy? I mean, we know you're ice cold on the pitch, but tell us.
Yeah, that is my name. It's not a nickname. My dad gave me that name. My name is ICY. That is my name. My tribal name is Dilzum, Dilzum. Father's name is Emmanuel. His father's name is Yuabamson. So many people thought I am just giving them my nickname as I say, but that's my real name. I don't know how my God gets to give me that name, but one of the things that stand out, he said, was that when they gave birth to me, I did not trouble them. I was quiet. I was not troublesome. So he said, I am icy, just cold, which he bring out the meaning to be peace. That whenever you drink a cold, chilly drink or water, it is icy. And that's how I got one.
All right. I stand corrected. I mean, I thought with landed, he landed on the ground when he was born. I don't know. But Icy, he's ice cold, people. Now we know the truth. So we do know that. I mean, I lived in Nigeria. We've been watching, not just in the last days, weeks, months. This has been going on for a year. Nigeria has a unique spiritual, cultural, social situation. In fact, the past couple weeks, there's been lots of killings, especially in Plateau. Can you kind of give us a background on what makes this unique and what Sports Friends is doing in Nigeria to help with these sort of situations?
So, Nigeria, a case study specifically where we are, Plateau State, is predominantly Christians. We have Muslims. We have those traditionalists that don't believe there's Christ, all those. So there's attack on the Christendom that people from the underworld that are being sponsored by the devil or whoever, we don't know. We don't want to assume that we know who is sponsoring it. Want to see us not to live in peace, as the slogan of Plateau State is. It says home of peace and tourism. That people want to see us not living in peace, but in pieces. So recently, Palm Sunday, we are moving around with activities, and we just had gunshots. And where it started, there's this drugs enforcement agency that normally come there to apprehend those that are into drugs. So sometimes when they come, they just give a signal of that. They just shoot on air for people to be scared not to harass them. So we had the gunshot and we're thinking it's the drug agency. And later on, we just saw people crying and shouting, it's not drugs law, it's not drugs law. It is bandit, terrorists. And a lot of people were killed. 32 were killed that night. They were killed. So the area that this incident occurred, it's where we're not far away from there. We're just 5 minutes drive to that market. So part of the boys that we train in our team, some of them are coming from that area, but because they are kids, they were not able to be, they are not affected. But some of them, their grandparents and their neighbors were affected. So what we are doing as ministry is preaching peace and praying for those that don't know what they are doing, as Jesus will command us to pray for those who are persecuting us. So that is what we're preaching to our kids and our neighbors and our friends, that we pray for those that are persecuting us. Jesus Christ, when he was here on earth, was persecuted. So also the followers should also expect that coming to them. So at the moment, we are praying for them and we're encouraging our younger ones and our youths to stay focused, praying and staying in peace.
Well, you guys are preaching that message of peace, and we'll dig into more of that around, what's going on, your challenges and your blessings and things, what's going on. But let's just dig into that a little bit more, because if you look on mainstream media, you may not actually see some of these headlines and stuff. If you look on X or Twitter, you may see a little bit more. But Kyle, I think it's important to talk about this because there is kind of a sign of genocide going on right in Nigeria. So I'm wondering, Kyle, do you want to give us a bit more of a picture of that? And then Icy, can you tell us, like, how do you thrive in this environment, that's there? So Kyle, first you with a bit of a overview of the realities of what's going on in Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, even just the history of Sports Friends in Nigeria, just coming into Nigeria, 2004, we had the first basic training. 200 and some people come from different ministries, different churches. And out of that, only one kind of rose up and started to do stuff. That was Coach Monday, who's now part of our staff. But the whole purpose was, and the reason Sports Friends is kind of flourishing in Nigeria is because the passion and the drive that we have, from Icy down to everyone that's working on the team, even the coaches and the volunteers, is to see the Nigeria change, right? Not just going from bad to good, but going from darkness to light, and that is the hope and salvation of Jesus. So that drives that it gives that momentum to us to go into places where darkness is. And when Icy says that they were attacking near his house, that's Moses and Icy kind of live in that area, and that's been, for many years now, a hot spot. But those guys have chosen to stay there, remain there, be a light in that dark spot. But not just in Jos, not just in Plateau State, but throughout all of Nigeria. And I think that's the bigger picture. And to have a denial of attacks and atrocities on Christians globally, the West is grappled with this. Is this a genocide? Is this some other form of farmer-herder conflict, or are these just disenfranchised youth that are becoming terrorists? Well, it's partly and parcel, yes, but this is also a spiritual attack, and this is deliberately attacking Christians in very specific parts of Nigeria. And Sports Friends is there to say, we don't have any ill will against Muslims or any ill will against terrorists, but we want to see them come to know who Jesus truly is. And using the sports, the ball, is the approach that we've chosen, and it's been very effective. So I think, yeah, Icy, how have you seen Sports Friends go up in the north and different places in hard to reach places? How do you see Sports Friends thriving?
So we see Sports Friends thriving since from Ascension, where we started 2004. that you rightly said and give an overview of what is happening. We are striving hard to see how we will cover the whole state in Nigeria. Presently, through the mercy of God and His grace, we're able to go through 24 states so far. And we're going into the deep northeast where Boko Haram bandits are, and they are seeing the light of Jesus through sport. Because sport is a universal tool that everyone loves. People love it. They don't write who is a Christian, who is a Muslim, who is about Boko Haram or bandit. It just, everybody is just gathering. Everybody is just coming across the objects, and we use opportunity of that to reach out to them. In some areas, we don't reach out to them with our Bibles. We reach out to them with our lives, because they see what God is doing in our lives, and they want identifying with us. They said, we want to know what is happening with you. We insult you. We do this. We do that. They point a lot of things they do to us, but we don't retaliate back to them. And they will ask, what is the secret behind it? And we will ask the question, do you really want to know? Come closer, and we'll have a relationship that will take time as we unveil it to them, to tell them that He who is doing this to us is the one who created everything and everyone in it. If you surrender your life to Him, He will take care of you. And people will want to come and identify with us. And we see a lot of people being transformed with the language we use of reaching out with them with the good news of Jesus Christ. That's what we're seeing.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit more then. So obviously we're in season 5, Thrive. You've got the green growth, green for Nigeria. But let's talk about that growth then. Where you see it in the midst of what's going on, last week, where you live, like we heard, like you said, the market was on fire. We had that horrendous, all those horrendous killings. But where is there growth then in these different states? You said you're in those different states. Where are you seeing growth?
So we see transformation happening in those 24 states I mentioned. I will give us this little story about a young boy in the Northeast where we use sport to bring young people and to teach them morals. And one of the things I remember in one of the training section we had was the coach teaching about obeying your parents. And generally, the Muslims in the team, the Christian, is just a mixed team of about 50-50, thereabout, of combination of traditionalists, Muslim, and the Christian. And this specific boy, this particular boy, is disobedient to the highest court, to his parents, and to all elderly ones in the community. And this coach was using that to teach them obedience in the team. And he mentioned that, and the boy answered back and said, what is obedience? And the coach explained what obedience is. He said, just like the way I will tell you to go and pick this ball, you will run and pick it. You obey without questioning. That is the same thing you will be doing to your parents. When they send you to go and fetch water in the well for them, you do that without questioning. And the boy said, Coach, do you know what? I have not been doing anything to my mom and my dad. But today, with what I heard you say to them, so it is not just one day event. He took a series of days, weeks, teaching them obedience. Obedience. And that day, as God will arrest the boy, he confessed to say, Coach, I have not been doing this to my parents, but I have been obedient to you in the field. With what you said, I surrender to go back and ask for forgiveness from my parents. And henceforward, I will be an obedient child to them. That is the transformation story we had in the Northeast. In the Middle Belt, I give you another one again. In the Middle Belt, there's a village where men heartily will they help their wives with home chores like fetching of the water, sweeping, holding babies? They said it's solidly the responsibility of the women to do that. We come in contact with this parent that boldly, man ego, will say it is the duty of the woman to be doing that. But we say no, it is our responsibility as men to help our wife, because from the creation of the earth, Jesus said it is not good for the man to be alone. He will make us helper to meet his needs. So with the conversation going on, the man was able to understand that it is his responsibility. The woman is just coming to assist him. So from there, he became a change to the community, where he escort his wife to the stream to fetch water. He was able to back the baby when the wife is cooking. And from there, the men in the community start coming closer to him and said, why is he doing that? And he said, it is our responsibility to help our women, not to be burdened to them. So those are two examples I gave for the transformation that is happening as a result of what we are doing.
I love it. We got obedience, we got parent, child training, as well as marital counseling. Ben, I mean, who knew Sports Friends has covering so many fields? Did you?
That's
Ben?
it. But through sport, like that you said about the obedience thing, it's like, this is what you do when you play sport, right? So this is what you can do in life. And it's like sport to gospel is like, and sport to like action, right? So like you're talking about sport is the hook that gets people, and it's a language that people understand. This is what you do in sport, and this is what you can do in life. And I think that's why it's so powerful. That's why across Nigeria, you guys have got like over 11 denominational partners and stuff. Like that's why it's flourished, because the sporting metaphors, it's real life practical stuff that can lead to this transformation. And it's whole life, which is what you love, right, Carl? This is your whole life discipleship, right, which you love. That's it.
Holistic. There we go. We love it. Okay, Icy, we got two more questions. I'll take one, and then Ben will do the final one. So what is your vision and hope for Nigeria, for Sports Friends in Nigeria? Just, all that. So what's your hope for the next 5 years?
So our hope is to see we cover all the states in Nigeria. And to God be the glory. We have started seeing that happening. We are hearing calls all over, from the south, from the west, from the east, saying, can you come over? We want to know more about what you are doing, using the platform of sport to transform lives and strengthening communities. So that is our hope. We want to see Sport Friends in the whole state in Nigeria.
And I think for that to happen, you need prayer, right? So I think if anyone's listening, you want to specifically pray, sign up to our like daily prayer updates, follow us on social media, and really pray for these guys, because we're talking about here, like if you look on some of the social media platforms and see the realities of what these guys are living in, these guys need your prayer for that to happen, to go into these states. And yeah, it's vital. So let's commit to doing that, listeners. Let's do that. But Icy, I want you to give us some advice. All right, you mentioned you've got the staff. You've got the volunteers. There's so many coaches, thousands of coaches across Nigeria who you've trained. Think about when you started as a coach. What advice would you give 2026, that Icy who's thriving? Give 2009 Icy some advice.
Okay. I must be intentional in my relationship with God. So, intentionality in hearing Him and opening my heart for Him to give me direction of what to do. I am passionate about sports.
I think we lost him.
Lost him. But hey, you've talked about intentionality. Intentionality with God. That's such an important thing, right? Yeah.
I mean, it was good. I mean, he kind of starting as a volunteer and working his way as now a team leader. He's really developed all aspects of what Sports Friends team looks like. So it's been great to have that intentional relationship with God, starting with that. That's good.
And I know he probably would have said about like that intentionality, your own walk with God, live to worship Christ, as we said in episode 1, if you remember, season 5, and then being intentional with the young people as well. So if you're a coach working with young people, that intentionality, really important to do that. And that intentionality, I think, is the difference from you being a coach and being more than a coach. And looking for those moments where you can minister to make disciples and coach develop skills in that way. So yeah, intentionality is so key. But we've heard that in previous seasons, season 1, 2, 3, 4, we had our staff on, team leaders. They've all pretty much said this word, intentionality. So important, right? Love it.
It's for those 1 or 2 people that are listening. I mean, that's his basic discipleship. Being a follower of Christ is being intentional with God, being intentional with Jesus in your life, whether it's reading scripture every day, which we all should do, praying every day, which you all should do, but then seeking out those moments that you can share that hope, that love, that the truth of Christ. I mean, that's being intentional. If we're not doing that, then I wonder if we're a Christian.
Oh, mic drop. Tell you what, if you want to thrive, do all of those things. That's it. No, but that is like an essence of it. It's like, how do you thrive? It's like really simple in it. It's that doing that 101 all the time. And yeah, you can see the impact across Nigeria. I really was struck by what he said. He said, we preach peace, and some people want to cut us into pieces.
Yeah.
And yet we are preaching peace. I mean, yeah, being in Nigeria once and seen it, but then you follow what's going on. You've lived in Nigeria. You know the realities. I mean, you've seen the stats around the world. Nigeria is one of the hardest places in the world right now.
The hardest place.
The hardest place to be a Christian. And yet we're talking about thriving. So how make that make sense? To people who are maybe listening in other places, how can you possibly thrive when it's the hardest place?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's so interesting because you go to Nigeria, you've been there, you just said that. It's not about they want to get out of Nigeria. They want their life to be over, this fight. They want the fight to be over, of course, but they know they got it. And I see alluded to this, that we have this position in life. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be trials. It's going to be difficult, but what you do with it makes your life who you are in Christ. And I think that is the beauty of Christians in Nigeria. They know that they're being attacked on all sides, churches, houses, lives being lost, but yet they still remain. They still are resilient to say, Jesus is still my light. Jesus is still my hope. Jesus is still the truth. And I would love you to know who that is. Not in an aggressive, violent way, but just, hey, you can take down a church, but we're still here as Christians, a group of Christians. You can destroy my farm, but I still have hope in Jesus. You can kill my family members. I'll mourn, but I will rise up the next day and say, praise the Lord, I'm still here. I have a purpose. So it is, to me, that just shows me, it gives me a testament of what to follow as a Christian.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. You see that, and you remember driving through and you see one village, that you talk about, like, everything's gone. Like, you go from driving, it's like nice, it's green, then you go to there, it's burnt. There's nothing there. There's no places to store food. There's nothing. There's people being killed. Like you talk about, it's like desolate. And then you drive into the next place, and then it's fine. But it's like in the midst of that, like you're talking about there, gospel's being preached and people are living that out. And it's like, that is the most impactful, stuff that is incredible. And that's it. I think if people are listening, they want to find out more about that, keep following us. And, where else can people find some of this stuff if they're interested, to find out more, maybe? Yeah,
things in Nigeria, you can go to truthnigeria.com or equippingthepersecuted.org. Those type of things have showing you what is happening to Christians. Open doors, different things like that. Just follow, be informed. Just helping to know how to pray, what to pray for, and just knowing that these things are happening on a daily basis in places like Nigeria. Attacks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, people got to do that. I think you got to show us that T-shirt that's underneath, and then what have we got to do to finish?
Nigeria's already won. They may not have won the African Cup of Nations. They almost did. Next time is the next one. They're not in the World Cup, but there's always another one, right?
I think there's a chance.
There's always a chance to thrive. They're still thriving, Ben. They're still thriving.
Still thriving.
They're almost alive, but they're still thriving. Okay. And you tell your friends that Nigeria's thriving. Tell your friends that we're still here talking about being winners. And tell your parents, friends, just tell.
Every Tuesday, join our hosts and guests. Discover how you're already positioned to win.